Welcome and welcome back. My name is Kyra Siva. I am a spiritual healer and mentor, and today we are going to do a really fun question. And this question is, what would a spiritual mentor say to you about where you're at on your spiritual awakening journey, or about something like some topic that you have in mind regarding your growth? So because I am a spiritual mentor, a lot of times people come to me with integration questions like, hey, I'm experiencing XYZ, or I've been really focused on working with a specific deity, and these are the symptoms I'm getting. Is it working? Is it not working? And we just fine-tune communication, intuition, and help you really understand and integrate some of the cosmic, bigger questions into your very grounded and practical life. So today we're going to dive into this topic, and go ahead and take a breath, connect with your intuition. Now, these little essential oil cards or bottles were so hard to get to stay, so I'm going to show you them. So we might have a little bit of this to do. So this is pile number 1. We have the orange. Pile number 2 is lavender. Oh my goodness. There we go. Pile number 2 is lavender. And pile number 3, eucalyptus. All right, pile number 1, pile number 2, and pile number 3. And let's go ahead and jump into pile number 1. Pile number 1. Okay, let's dive in. You chose the sweet orange. All right, so let's dive into your pile. So what would a spiritual mentor say to you about the question you have in mind, or about where you're at on your spiritual journey? Pile number 1, you are in a process of transformation, and you are currently looking at some past beliefs that are limiting beliefs, whether they are around addiction or certain behavioral patterns or certain emotional responses. The word triggering is coming up. So maybe you're looking at your actual triggers of what causes you to have emotional outbursts or to feel just large feelings. What you're currently working on right now is the purification of that and the learning of the higher wisdom of that particular issue. So for example, say you used to be a really judgy person, and every single person you would meet, you're like, that person looks this way, that person has that attitude, that person I could tell just is heartbroken in that way, that person is this person is that. And where you're at right now is you have already come to the place where you recognize that that's not the way that you want to interact with the world. And a part of your spiritual growth and development right now is detaching from that level of judginess. This could even be self-judgment. So you're like, say your inner critic is just super duper crazy loud, constantly talking and with you all the time. There's always shame and guilt, and it just causes you to have these big emotional reactions. Well, you have come to the place where you are able to start catching that more and more and more. So when you start doing this kind of work, it starts off at these little moments where you're like emotionally charged and the triggering event happens and you have a moment of clarity, like, oh, I'm doing that thing that I always do. But maybe you still say all the words and you take all the action and you feel all the feels that you classically do. Then the next time that triggering event happens again and a part of you catches like, oh, hey, this is that thing again. You know what? I think this time I'm gonna act a little more chill. regarding this. Like, I know my trigger is to go explosive. I'm going to step it back and not go explosive. And that's how the progression works. When we're in spirituality and you're growing, even though there's this idea of perfect behavior and there's always a right thing, ultimately, spirituality is a playground, and the mistakes that you make are just learning curves. They aren't truly and genuinely these character-defining moments. They're just you being a little messy, which we all are. Every single person. So in this way, not only are you working on detaching from being an ultra judgy person, whether to yourself or others, you are actually learning the art of grace. How to give yourself grace, which is the main top priority of where you're at in your growth, and also how to give other people grace. This is a whole time, and your reading gives me very much, like, I would say the majority of you watching this, it is more likely that you have a really high perfectionist, self-critic, I'm never doing enough, I need to try harder, I need to be a better person, I need to be a bigger person, I need to be a more kind person, I need to be, honestly, this can be a trap in your spiritual growth, is I need to be something other than I am. And so your spirit guides and your spiritual mentor speaking to you about your particular area of growth, you are in a space where your hard work right now is awareness and of transmuting those energies when they come up. It's probably one of the hardest things about doing spiritual growth and personal growth and it's because it takes so much discipline to deal with our emotions and to deal with the runaway train that is often our minds. So you are actively learning how to put the brakes on the mental train. You are actively learning, okay, if I have a negative energy, I catch it, I make a conscious choice whether or not I want to engage in it. Even if I engage in it, it's coming from a much more empowered and clear state. And if I don't want to engage with it, I'm giving myself these spiritual tools like decharging into natural items, or using candle magic, or using your special prayer or mantra to flip the energy. You're asking your spirit guides, you're asking your angels, hey, I've decided I want to stop self-criticizing so heavily. How can I give myself love in this moment right now? How can I accept me exactly as I am right now, even though I feel like I'm a mess and this trigger and I have this deep heartbreak? Can I just love the version of me that exists in this moment? And the answer to that is yes. And that is where you find your healing, and that is where you start to experience the more profound and pure and innocent and clear truth of who you really are. It's where you have been able to, it's an amazing process, because your perception every time you catch these behaviors is being unshackled, and that reality of who you are, it's like you've had a bunch of rusty chains attached to you, and every moment of awareness where you choose a different path, where you choose to love yourself instead and to go back to your most pure form, those rusty chains get unhooked from you. And you are unhooking and unhooking and unhooking. And you're ultimately freeing your perception to be able to experience the greater version of who you are. And that's the path of love. You're going down the path of love, and you've done a ton of work in it, and it's very grindy work. It's like it gets really fun once you like get some momentum with it and you get used to it, and the energy starts flipping a lot easier and faster. So if you're not there yet, just know it actually gets easier. Just like lifting weights, like you go in there and you are doing your bicep curls at first and it's heavy, but then, you know, honestly, after a couple of times, it starts just getting easier and easier. And then you're like, cool, I can lift heavier weights. So the more you practice flipping the energy from negative to positive, your mindset, you get yourself in control of the train. It's hard at first, it gets easier. And the ease in which you can do it is what we consider mastery. So when it's more second nature, and then don't worry, the universe will throw another curveball at you. You'll have something else that feels hard at first. Like, you get to enjoy experiencing your strength throughout the process. So you're always going to be learning, you're always going to be growing, but just know that you're well on your way within this process. And actually the chariot here shows that you're making rapid improvement right now. So just continue to expect having rapid improvement, especially as you heal. Okay, pile number 1. This is what a spiritual mentor would say to you about where you're at in your spiritual growth, or the very specific topic you have in mind. If you like this reading, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe. It helps out like you wouldn't believe. Leave me a comment below. You are all absolutely amazing, and I'm so excited and honored to be able to read for you. And if you want to dive more deeply into your personal journey, check out, I have personal readings, and I'm going to be opening up a special Patreon soon, just because I'm really excited about doing more spiritual teaching. So that will be coming up, and the first thing we're going to be talking about is death and transformation, which includes experiencing the energy of death, what the transformation process is, and honestly, even just talking about the spiritual realm. So that, hopefully, as long as I can stay not sick, will be coming out in the next couple of weeks. Look for that. And until next time, pile number 1, I hope you have a beautiful and blessed day. Pile number 2. Okay, let's dive in here. First, can we just appreciate your color palette? Turning these two over, they just feel like the colors complement each other so well, and they're even sort of the same face shape. So just feel like that's a really strong message about these two. And then up here, look at your tarot cards. So much yellow in every single card. A lot of cups, a lot of pentacles. We're going to dive into what that says. All right. And so this is answering the question. Oh, and you guys, chose lavender. Oh my goodness. You chose the lavender pile. Sorry, set that over here. Okay, so let's dive in. This is what a spiritual mentor would say to you about your spiritual growth journey, or about a specific question relating your spirituality and your growth that you have in mind. This is very much a mastery of being in the 3D realm. Being a human in this day and age is incredibly painful. And I think a lot of people use spirituality, including myself, as a way of escaping some of the harsher realities of life. And it can be very hard when you're on a spiritual awakening journey and you see what humans need and what we're doing for our soul growth, and you look at the mundane world and you just think, gosh, this place is weird. What and why about so many things. And so you're in a really beautiful place in your journey where you are actually experiencing more mastery in the third, in this realm. And that's because you are actually currently actively integrating these big spiritual concepts. What your message resoundingly says is that you've been working a lot on abundance, manifestation, grounding in your dream life. I refer to this when I teach people about transformation. This I would call the shaping stage. Like, you are in the shaping and embodiment. So the shaping stage is after you've deconstructed everything in the first stage and you've allowed this new, more pure, authentic version of you to emerge. The shaping stage is taking all of those learnings. Imagine you are a sculptor and you sit down at a wheel, you've got your clay, and you start shaping your life. You start saying, hey, I know I have a supremely excellent, clear, like bountiful channel to my higher self, to ancient wisdom, to all of my gurus and saints and angels, to every single deity and entity that I work with to help me for the highest and positive good. And this is what is coming through for me to create. You are in that process of making heaven on earth. You are in that beautiful state where you have changed. You have become the primordial goo when the caterpillars turn into the butterfly, but you're at that stage where you're already a butterfly. You're already a butterfly. You cracking out of your little shell there, your chrysalis, right? You are breaking free because you've already done that, and now this is that next progression where you walk through the world as a channel of the divine. Your very presence uplifts the energies around you. It brings brightness, lightness. You know, it gives people inspiration and hope. It heals heartbreak by just literally, you just look happy and you're radiating that contentment, that joy. And that has such a positive impact on people. We share heart space energy. We share mirror neurons, right? Like, people are experiencing what you are experiencing, and you are experiencing divinity flow through you and out into your life. And it is showing up in the relationships you have. It is showing up in the circumstances of your life. It is being reflected in the things that people say. So this is a very huge spiritual confirmation that you are aligned. Like, the energy feels crystalline clear. Imagine water falling down in a river off of a glacier. That's your energy. You are naturally uplifting the planet, and your actions, because they're divinely inspired and you're following your intuition, are creating beauty and grace and compassion and love and things and instances and events that are grounded in that pure soulful love. Absolutely incredible. So we have a couple of these. We have a lot of this hard work motif going on here. Excuse me. So you've been diligently working at this abundance, working with your mindset, clearing your energy, balancing your chakras. Like, you're doing your breath work. You're doing the things when you feel off energetically. You're like being very aware. So all of that level of detail and effort you've been putting in is absolutely paying off. And the reward of that is that there's one layer of you taking care of the planet that's effortless for you. You literally just need to walk in the room and radiate your happiness. So easy. And then there's that effort of your mind. You get the inspiration, you feel that joy, you feel the intuition, and then you are actively using your hands, using your mind, using your creativity to create that. And you're creating so much happiness. So over here we have overcome any obstacle and use your mind wisely. There's like even little wings. I feel like they're very mirroring. So what a spiritual mentor would say to you is that your creative space and your perfect alignment between heart, soul, and head. So between your heart, what your heart wants, between what your intuition wants, and what your mind wants, you've been able to create and really open up all of those spaces for divinity to flow through you, which is so incredible. You also had 2 goddess cards that came out. And let's just look how both of these are, we have this big sunlight coming out. So when I said that one part of you taking care of humanity is just you being you and walking into a room, this light radiating from you is exactly why. There are so many times, here I'll just say from my personal experience, I have felt like whoever has really the highest vibration or the most concentrated ability to have their energy and their consciousness present in the moment tends to override the energetic space of groups of people, or if they're like a leader. But this, what I'm trying to point to is that when you are really aligned with the divine, that energy that comes through tends to dominate and affect the space. So it adds a lot of equilibrium to places that, if there's like a lot of negativity there, you being radiant and happy, sometimes what happens for people is they see that and it gives them some kind of relief, right? Like they're like, oh, like there's happiness in the world, or like, oh, I forgot, like I wanted to experience that level of contentness. How can I do that right now? So there's an inspirational quality to it, but I think there's also just energetically wise, it's like the positive energy neutralizes the negativity of a space and helps just remind people. It's like waking them up. So a lot of times these can feel very, and I'm not trying to like put people in a hierarchy, I'm just sharing an experience of what I've seen in terms of the dynamics of energetics play out within, you know, a room full of people. So that stuff really affects things. So we have the goddess of light, and she's a sacred mirror reflecting the same light back. So this is really speaking to your ability to do that. And then the lotus born, the embodiment is the deepest bliss. That's just like where you're at. Like you're just enjoying the process of creating life, and you've got the mental capabilities, you've got the heart capabilities, and you have the practical know-how of how to like exist and survive in this world. Even if you are carving out your own path, like you've got it. So pile number 2, a spiritual mentor would say to you, you're in really excellent alignment of your mind, your heart, and your intuition, and all of your hard work that you have put into mastering abundance and manifestation and creating your dream life, and all of the tremendous amount of effort that goes into doing that is paying off, and it's working, and you are a positive influence in people's lives. All right, pile number 2, this is what I have for you. If you like this reading, please click the like button and don't forget to subscribe and leave me a comment below. It's free and helps out the channel a ton, and it's so wonderful to hear from you all. And if you want to dive deeper into your specific life journey and spiritual growth, check out my personal readings, and I will be opening up a Patreon this month. We are going to be talking, just so I can do some more spiritual teaching, because I really love that. We are going to be talking about death and transformation and even the spiritual realm. So we'll dive into how to experience energy, what it's like being around the energy of death and in those transition spaces. And also I'm going to share with you how actual transformation occurs in you and what to expect from it. Okay, pile number 2. Until next time, I hope you have a beautiful pile number blessed. 3. Okay, let's dive into what a spiritual mentor would say to you about where you're at in your spiritual awakening journey, or about the very specific question or topic you have in mind. And you chose the eucalyptus. All right, you chose the eucalyptus oil. And this one rolled around so much. Okay, it's deciding to stay. Let's dive in. So your reading is going to be about your ability for receiving and reciprocity. Over here is the very first sort of highlight of this. So we have the Five of Pentacles and the Six of Pentacles. So we have getting the hand out and being left out in the cold. You are currently in the process of learning how to receive, and the art of that, I wish we talked more about this. I guess there are a lot of videos out there about it, but the ability to receive different things at different times in your life can actually be really, really hard. I have worked with elderly people, and there is a very big difference between an elderly person who is very comfortable receiving care and one that views it as them losing their independence and like they've got to be independent, they got to be independent. And it's a really tough mentality because receiving can feel vulnerable. It can feel like we're going to be indebted to somebody. It can feel like an energy is invading our space, or we're somehow less than. We're weaker. We aren't as competent. I know there's a lot of people out there who are afraid to receive because they don't want to have learned helplessness, right? Like, which is very valid. They don't want to have to lose a part of their own ability to take care of themselves in having somebody else give them something. So this is a big mental block. We can see over here in the Ten of Wands in reverse and the King of Swords in the High Priestess reverse. Like, this is a time where you're so in your head about either your spiritual growth or this topic that you've lost some of that connection with your soul. And it's not that your soul's ever disconnected from you. It's not that you can't experience the wisdom of your soul. Your soul is still very present with you. It's just that you have turned off listening. So when we get really up in our heads and our minds are going like a freight train, it's really hard to stop them sometimes. So with this particular area of your life, or with where you're at in your spiritual journey, your mind is clung on. It is in control. It is wanting to figure this thing out. So we see that we have this King of Swords in the center. We have this disconnect from your intuition and from your inspiration. And part of this disconnect comes from you want to be able to predict the future, and you need to have the outcome show up in a specific way. When you think about one particular question over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, it is just spinning wheels. At some point, it's just spinning wheels. And it can feel good mentally to do that, but it doesn't get you anywhere. So what you're needing to do is you need to reconnect back with your intuition and learn this lesson of reciprocity. And that also means you have to accept that you don't have the answer. Like, you don't have the answer. You don't actually know what's going to happen. And that has to be okay. As you accept, okay, I don't know the answer to that, you need to refocus on this over here. Like, you need to refocus on, how am I currently receiving energy, and what is my relationship to receiving? What is my relationship to receiving money from this person, that person, that person? What is my relationship to receiving the affection or attention from XYZ person, situation? It also is just showing me that you feel very much like there's not enough. There's it's like a lack of abundance, but it's sort of like, oh, this thing is never going to happen. It hasn't happened. I don't know when it's going to happen. It's never going to happen. Really, it is just a opportunity for you to examine how you are allowing energy to come into your life and what you are consciously and unconsciously blocking and consciously and unconsciously allowing in. Now, your guidance, we have a new moon in Gemini, so a new moon in communication, even like a fresh restart in thought, and a full moon in Scorpio. So again, this is even reflected up here. It is time to shift the way that your mind is in relation to this part of your spiritual growth. You are being asked to flip these cards and to reconnect with your intuition and with your inspiration, and that may mean you need to do a mental detox. You may need to, whatever this issue is that's pressing, that you're just constantly, it's putting you in this lack state. That's not enough. There's not the person, there's not the abundance, there's not the spiritual connection, there's not the skills development to hear spirit. Like, it is, you are just grounding yourself with this issue, and you just need to step away and drop it. Eucalyptus is also a very clearing, right? Clear it. You need to clear this. Clear it out. This is this releasing negativity, and communication is key. One exercise that I do with my clients, and also that I do in my personal life, is to write down all of the freight train brain, everything, especially if it's one topic that I keep coming back to over and over and over. Write out all the words, just free flow, write as much as you need to write, and then burn it or put it in water. Obviously do it safely. Don't go burning houses or forests down, but get rid of it, and do that multiple times until you can be in a space where you sit down and it's just a blank slate. You just need a blank slate. You just need a fresh perspective. You just need to drop the topic, go do something else, and then allow other aspects of your life to come into fruition. And it's basically, you just need to hit the restart and refresh button on your mental thinking patterns. So focus on something else for a while, because ultimately what you are experiencing is about your freedom. It's about your ability as a creator. It is about your freedom to express. It is really just about your ability, excuse me, to bring your dream life into reality. So if you want to do this really efficiently, start with a blank slate, right? Clean out all the mental space, and then very consciously allow back in what truly fits. So you need a new start with, what are you even thinking about during the day? If anything tries to come on repeat, you got to just put it away. Get out a rock, get out a crystal, put it in that, get flowers, put the extra thought in flowers, write things down, spend time in nature. Like, just get out the old, because the new wants to come in, but it can't. I literally just want to like take this and whoosh, and just erase it. Just start over. burn the page of words down, start with a blank page, and only put on there in your mind what you actually want to be there. If you want a partner, hey, you know what? Today I love myself. The right person's on their way. I can let that go. I trust that it's happening. Hey, I really need to make rent and bills this month. I need money. I need to change a job. You know what? I trust that it's coming. And I'm going to stay focused on how abundant this moment is and how connected I feel to the earth. And I'm going to put my feet in the ground and I'm going to just nourish myself and just enjoy as much as I can the moment, because this literally just they need to go. I feel so called to just take them. We're gonna do this energetically right now. There you go. Now you have a nice blank slate, and when you start over with your mental space, you were starting over with freedom. Let me make sure I've got this. You were starting over with freedom. Okay? This is the center. You have cleaned out and purified everything else, and you're going to very diligently choose what you want back in, and you're going to very diligently let go. Even if it's a mental thought, right? Like imagine throwing it away in a trash can. Oh, I thought about how much I need new work and that I don't know where to find it. You know what? Actually, I am going to take that I don't know where to find it because that puts me in limitation, and I'm just going to throw it away in my mental trash can. And I'm going to think about, wow, I'm a really super capable person, and there's always ways through every single situation. This is going to help you tremendously. Make sure that's on there. This will help you tremendously in bringing your dreams and speeding things up with them. But you have to release, and you have to be able to be able to receive. So if you think about it in this way, what you are doing is if there was a water, and the water were your dreams, and it's going down a river, and it hits a beaver dam, you getting rid of all of your old thinking patterns and starting with a clean slate is you have removed the sticks from the beaver dam, and now you're choosing, okay, well, I do actually want the river to only flow down, this right side up to X amount of points. So I'm going to remove the debris from the right hand of all of the river, and that water's going to flow through there. But I do want to keep this rock and this little outcropping so I can walk out into the river. That is the concept of what you need to do for your spiritual growth right now, or to handle this particular issue that you have in mind. Okay. I feel like that made sense, but if it didn't, leave me a comment below and I will try to restate that in the comments. Outside of that, I would be so curious as to what this issue is, or what you are dealing with in your spiritual growth. So if you want to leave me a comment below, I would love that. This is what I see for you, number pile 3. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe, and don't forget to subscribe. I also offer personal readings, so if you want to dive very specifically into your world, you can get one of those. The link is in the description, and I am going to be opening up a Patreon this month. I'm going to make it happen. I'm so excited about it. It is a space for me to do more of my spiritual teaching. And this month we are talking about death and transformation. So if you want to understand your transformation process, you want to actually understand what the energy of death feels like and how to work with that. I'm thinking if you are a death doula, or you're interested in death work, or you are just for some reason, you are the graveyard person that has always been fascinated by that, we are diving more into that transition. Spirituality is probably number one reason people come to spirituality is because of death. It's because what happens after you die. It is a big question mark. So we're diving into that. I will release my Patreon link as soon as I get everything up. So be on the lookout for that. And until next time, pile number 3, I hope you have a beautiful and blessed day.